Hello, and welcome to the lecture video on constraints and supertypes, otherwise known, or in this case, the completeness constraint. There's a disjointness constraint we'll talk about in a different video, but quickly, a completeness constraint basically indicates or dictates whether an instance of a supertype must also be a member of at least one subtype. So total specialization means that, yes, every supertype has to be in at least one subtype, or there's partial specialization indicated by a single line. So the total specialization, which means every member of a supertype has to be part of a subtype, is denoted by a double line. Partial specialization, which means that I can have a supertype instance that is not also associated with a subtype. So let's take a look at an example. We've got our patient example that we've seen before. So in this case, a patient has to be either an outpatient or a resident patient as far as this entity is concerned. And again, it makes perfect sense. Either a patient comes into the hospital and they are admitted and become a resident patient, or the patient comes in, does not need to be admitted, and becomes an outpatient. So a patient has to be either a patient instance needs to be either an outpatient or a resident patient. To see the partial specialization rules, we can go back to vehicle. So vehicle, if you remember, started out, this was our specialization example. It was the generalization where we went from the bottom up. So we had car, truck, and motorcycle, and then we realized that we needed a supertype and subtypes. So in this case, we realized, or if you remember from the previous video, that a motorcycle can be a vehicle, but it is not a car or a truck. So in this case, we use a single line to denote that this is partial specialization, that a vehicle can be a car, it can be a truck, but it does not have to be either, and in that case, it would be a motorcycle. And that is the end of the completeness constraint video.